The SCP Foundation is filled to the brim with secrets. In fact, I'd be hard-pressed to pull up a single fact about this clandestine organization that isn't meant to stay hidden. But some are extra secret, even to those working within the framework, and some could be really dangerous if they were to get out. So here we go, the top 5 Foundation secrets they don't want you to know. Coming in at number 5, who works for the Foundation? So we all know some vague stuff about the people that the Foundation employs, right? There's the classic D-class subjects. The lab rats, the test dummies, the criminals who were gonna rot in prison anyway, so they brought them to collect dangerous data. I don't know if that counts as employment or imprisonment, but hey. Then there's the general researchers, scientists, and doctors, the ones who write up each entry, making sure to document the containment procedures, origins, and descriptions of different anomalies. Another step up and a little harder to find are the mobile task forces, specialized groups of soldiers and first responders who are trained in containing very specific threats. And of course, anything higher than that, and things get a little hush-hush. The O5 Council, major string pullers, big funders, and more. But with all the anomalies out there, there've got to be a whole lot of facilities, and all those facilities need all sorts of staff to keep running effectively. So where do all these workers end up? How does all this work? Well, in one tale called Everyone Knows, this is elaborated upon. After a group of pals got a little too drunk and accidentally revealed their supposedly secret employment, they started questioning the structure of the Foundation. If all of them worked for this shadowy organization, how many other people did they know that were employed to deal with SCPs? And if there were this many folks out there who believed that they were extra special working for the Foundation, how many different cover stories were there? Thus began a multi-tiered search for answers. The lower level lads asked their site director how many people the Foundation employed, and she didn't actually seem to know. So she asked the folks above her, who also didn't have a solid answer. And boy, the numbers got out of hand fast. After searching through thousands of databases, questioning higher intelligences, and meeting with anomalies that could store and categorize all sorts of information, it was determined that everyone on Earth had at one point either had a brush with the anomalous or knew that it existed. Even if they didn't know about the Foundation or sort of figured it was a coincidence, they would have had some sort of paranormal experience. Well, actually, almost everybody. Jeremiah Wuthers didn't know, but once it was discovered that everyone else did know, the Foundation reached out to him to break the news. So yeah, the biggest secret going is that everyone already knows, and lifting the veil probably wouldn't change all that much. The laws of physics are actually just suggestions, and myths are probably based on some form of truth. Who knew? Coming in at number 4, SCP-3000. This one does a pretty good job of keeping itself secret, but once you know about it, it gets pretty dark. Makes a lot of sense that the Foundation wants to keep it as secret as possible. Amnestics are a pretty important part of how the Foundation operates. They use these memory-altering substances to ensure that all sorts of delicate information remains under wraps. When people run into anomalies unexpectedly, usually the Foundation is there to amnesticize them in order to keep them in blissful ignorance. Sometimes the memory alteration is pretty simple, but other times, stronger stuff is required. And where do you get stronger amnestics? From anomalies, of course. And the most famous amnestic-producing anomaly is the legendary giant eel, otherwise known as SCP-3000. It lives way down under the ocean and is super helpful when the Foundation really doesn't want something disseminated across the world. Unfortunately, the amnestics that this enormous deep-sea creature excretes aren't free. The only way folks can get it to cooperate is to feed it people. Lots of people. Like, it's a major reason why D-class subjects are always in such high demand. Feed the eel people, get some memory-wiping drugs. It's a pretty sweet deal. But if people at large knew about this creature, they'd be pretty upset, don't you think? You're sacrificing people for the sole purpose of preventing horrifying information from getting out. Oh, and also the folks who get fed to this creature don't die in a traditional sense. Their minds sort of live on in its belly, subjected to eternal dread as it continues to slither around at the bottom of the ocean. Definitely not a fate anyone would choose for themselves. Worse yet, the people assigned to this SCP are also affected by the amnestics over time. So anyone assigned to SCP-3000 will experience identity loss, memory wipes, and more, which inevitably leads to people overdosing on amnestics at the bottom of the ocean. But if that little detail about this assignment got out, well, nobody would want to work on it. And if nobody's working the giant amnestic eel, then the Foundation can't keep their secrets airtight. That's a dangerous game. Coming in at number 3, we've got that Reagan tape. There are plenty of SCPs that involve past and sitting US presidents. Like, there's something about taking up residence in the Oval Office that makes anomalies flock to you. I don't want to go through all of them right now, but fire any presidential anomalies you can come up with down in the comments. But this one in particular is extra strange and has a tale attached that the Foundation definitely doesn't want making it to the public. SCP-1981, also known as Ronald Reagan cut up while talking, is a Betamax tape of ex-President Ronald Reagan addressing a crowd. It seems like he's giving his evil empire speech, but about a minute in, the Reagan on screen starts saying all sorts of strange stuff that was not included in the original address. As he speaks, he details all sorts of horrific acts, violent thoughts, and disgusting phrases, all while sustaining potentially deadly injuries from an invisible source. Every time the tape is rewound, a different set of expletives and filth is detailed by this version of Reagan. This is all well and good on its own, as the Foundation could probably just keep this strange tape in containment. If it ever leaked, they could claim it was just a prank or something. But in a tale called Dr. Robinson's Statement, we learned that this tape had a very negative effect. Members of Ronald Reagan's security detail caught wind of this tape and let the Foundation know that the ex-president would like to see it. And you know what? They showed him. The aging president watched a past version of himself say some of the most depraved stuff imaginable and then get brutally injured by an invisible assailant. This, of course, was very bad for his mental health. So bad, in fact, that his behavior became erratic to the point that he had to be amnesticized. He was repeating things his strange double had said on tape and was losing his grip on reality. So after being administered 7 times the regular dose of amnestics, Ronald Reagan forgot what he saw. Unfortunately, by that point, he was a changed man. So yeah, the Foundation showed ex-President Ronald Reagan an anomalous tape of himself, and it ruined his brain. Way to go, team. Really don't want that one going public, eh? Coming in at number 2, we've got SCP-582. Remember Slender Man? Well, imagine if a creature like that, born on the internet and thrust into the limelight, actually did exist. And also, every time somebody wrote about it, it would appear, following the narrative of whatever was written. Like, literally any fictional account of it will modify reality and become an actual account of it. So if you write a story about this tall, dark creature, that story becomes true. For this reason, the Foundation wants to avoid this thing entering public knowledge at all costs. Could you imagine if all the creepypasta authors out there accidentally brought their visions to life? Or all those YouTubers who do the creepy potion and 3 AM challenges actually called forth manifestations of an evil creature? Humanity would be done for. So yeah, we'll do our best to keep 582 under wraps. And coming at number 1, we've got the truth. There are plenty of 001 proposals out there. All sorts of bigwigs and info-rich individuals have come up with different interpretations of what this super important SCP might be. But if the Foundation was trying to keep this information a secret, why would they point everyone so obviously in the same direction? Why give it the first designation? Why compile a list of potential anomalies that may or may not be that specific one they're trying to keep a secret? What if instead they hid it somewhere else? Well, if you read through the truth, you might just figure out what I'm talking about. I'll leave you with the final couple sentences from the truth right now. What is the easiest way to hide the identity of SCP-001, the architect of the universe and its infinite horde of flaws? You don't classify it as SCP-001. I'll let you sit with that one for a bit. So, do you feel enlightened? Well, you should. I just revealed some top-notch secrets meant for special ears and eyes only. Now you're part of a top secret club. Get used to always feeling like you're in danger, because that's, what happens when you know stuff like this. So what'd you think of the list? Did you know any of these secrets? Are there any others I should have brought to light? Make sure you let me know down in the comments. Speaking of comments, let's take a look at some of your more colloquial ones from the top 5 scariest horror movies nobody talks about, part 5. Noe75 says the cover of Motel Hell freaked me out when I was a kid. Found it several years later for 50 cents at a thrift store, bought it and enjoyed it. Yeah, it's a classic poster. You gotta love those thrift store finds. Was it VHS or DVD? Did you get like a laser disc? Zola's Props and Comedy says, Skitch on the Autobahn better have some Bones ceramics. Oh, you know I do. Ross Potts says, I liked Low. Saw it when it was first available on disc. Netflix used to have some really quirky titles. Yeah, their selection really has changed since they started doing originals. Zachary Terry says, Frailty was so good and the twist is amazing. And just don't give away the twist, alright? And Riff Tipton says, meat's meat and a man's gotta eat. Ain't that the truth? Just be careful where you buy your jerky. And that's all the time we have for today. I'm going to flip through this photo album I found at the back of the thrift store. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. In fact, I'd be hard-pressed to pull up a single fact. Whoa. The lab rats, the test dummies, the criminals who are gonna rot in prison. Are you kidding me? Like literally any fictional account they left. Literally. And Riff Tipton says meats meat. Oh, I wrote that wrong. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Why'd I point down for that? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.